All right. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll be starting in a few minutes. In the meantime, feel free to grab some drinks or some snacks while we're waiting for the bulk of the audience to join in. Thank you, and I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope everything is well, especially the weather. I do hear that it's quite rainy in some areas, and especially in APAC. And yeah, I hope everything is going well on your end. So yeah, so once again, thank you so much for joining in. So we do see some familiar faces. We do see here Ralph, Roberto. Hey guys, welcome. Thank you so much for joining in today. And once again, we are just waiting for the bulk of the audience to join in, and we'll be starting in a few minutes. In the meantime, feel free to grab some drinks or some snacks before we start the webinar. Thank you. All right. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in early. We are just waiting for the bulk of the audience to connect in. In the meantime, feel free to grab some drinks or some snacks before we start the actual session. And if in case you already have some questions that you wanted to ask, feel free to send them in the chat function or in the Q&A function below so that we can get back to it during the Q&A session at the end of the panel discussion. Thank you. All right. Here we go. Once again, everyone, thank you so much. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone joining in. Welcome to our webinar today, where our goal in our webinars, especially in this session, is to introduce you to people and ideas that can help us bring more value to NFTs. So I'm Joel from E27, and this is from Buzzword to Value. So, together with our friends at Afin, we gathered some of the most promising thought leaders to share their insights on how we can project NFTs to real-world usage and how NFT games, among any other sectors, can pave that way for us. But I'll be saving the details of this discussion for our panelists later. Now, before we start, let's just go over a few house rules. The first one is, yes, this is a panel discussion, and we would like to actually invite you to join the discussion. So if there's anything that you would like to add into the talking points of everything that our panelists will be touching on, feel free to send them in the chat function below. Secondly, the floor is always open to your questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them in the Q&A function, Q&A widget below, so that we can get back to it during the Q&A session at the end. And lastly, with the first two house rules in mind, please know that this webinar is recorded and will be shared with all of you by email so you can view it after. Okay, before anything else, before we actually start, I want to get a sense of where you guys are coming from. So we will be launching a poll here that has two questions. The first one is, do you own any NFTs? So I think this is really interesting question, because I feel like there are so many people who owns NFTs. I've handled so many NFTs before, but it's a really interesting space. It's a new space that people are still trying to get a sense of what's happening. So we have here, yes, yeah, wow. I think so many people already have their own NFTs. And then for the second question is, where do you see NFT going? So we have a few options there. The first option is, it will completely change the way we think about ownership of digital assets. Some say that they don't see any real world use case for NFTs. Some are unsure. If you are unsure, or if you are to choose others, feel free to share your thoughts in the chat function as well, so we know where you're coming from. And there you have it. So we'll be opening this poll for a few more seconds. But before we go to the actual webinar, I would like to first introduce our moderator for today, Sinol. So Sinol is a startup journalist with nearly 15 years of experience in news reporting and editing. He has been covering the Indian and Southeast Asian tech startup ecosystem for the past 10 years, and over these years, Sinol has interviewed, profiled, and written about hundreds of entrepreneurs, innovators, investors, and industry experts. And now, Sinol is slowly diving deep into NFTs. So everyone, please help me in welcoming our web moderator for today, the storyteller and editor at E27, Mr. Sainul Abudin. Hi, Sainul. We can't hear you, Sainul. Okay, so while Sainul is waiting for his audio to come back, so let me just share the screen, the poll results here. So firstly, yes, I think there are more than people who already have their own NFTs. Oh, that's really interesting. A quite number of people who are not planning to own NFTs. And then for the second question, it seems like people are really agrees that NFTs will completely change the way we think about ownership of digital assets, and some are unsure yet. So okay, thank you so much for taking the time to share your feedback with us. And yeah, we will be touching more on this during the panel discussion again. So, Sainul? All right, Sainul, I think you still have no audio.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
There you go. Thank you, Sainul.
Yeah, okay, cool. So thank you, Joel, for the introductory note, and I would like to use this opportunity to welcome our panelists and the audience to this webinar once again. So joining us today are Lucas Lee, CEO and founder of Affin, and Denise T, co-founder of Metain, and Joseph Khan, CEO of Engine Starter. So before we get started, I would request each panelist to introduce themselves and their companies. And we'd also love to hear from them how they dived into this exciting world of NFTs and what NFTs mean to them. So I'll start with Lucas. Hello, Lucas. Can you just go on and introduce?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Hi, guys. My name is Lucas. Honored to be here in this talk here, organized by E27. So I'm a Singaporean. I'm the founder and CEO of Affin. So basically, Affin's and Affin was built with the vision of bringing people together, right? That's why the name Affin is short for affinity. So what we're actually building, it's a platform, ecosystem, right, that creates multiple metaverses, right? What we call a multiverse, right? So while many companies are building only a metaverse, right, we actually see a world that we want to co-create with many people. That's where we create our ecosystem of multiverse. So where people can come and participate, it's free to play and earn, and everything they earn in the virtual world, right? We want to also be able to connect them to the real world. So ecosystem like this allows us to, scale infinitely. And the underlying technology, it's using blockchain and NFTs so that our users can have interoperability, between all the virtual worlds that we actually co-create together. So as we embrace the future of Web 3.0 moving forward. Yep.
Thanks a lot for the detailed introduction. And can you go next, Denise? Hello, Denise.
Hello. So hello everyone. It's my pleasure to be here sharing with you guys. And so my name is Denise. I'm a co-founder and also the CMO of Metain. Talking about NFTs and what it means to us. You see, we started the whole project since end of last year and starting to build up more and more layers first around early of this year. And we realized that the way we approach and the way we look at NFTs is a little bit different from other people as well. Because first, basically the NFT needs to have value and also the real use case in our real world. So that's why basically what we do is that we are co-investment platforms and focusing on in real estate investment, and we combine the real estate investment trust model and also the blockchain technology like DAO votes, NFT, etc., in order to make the investment of real estate become a global investment opportunities and become affordable transparent, and safe for everyone. And when we design the solution that way, basically the NFT becomes is function as a fund certificate when you invest into our investment portfolio as one of the shareholders of the trust. And so so that's why we think that the NFT should be a vehicle for us to increase the right and the rules of ownership towards a specific assets which can have the value not only in the virtual world, but it should be also in our real economies as well. Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot, Denise. Okay, Joseph, your turn.
Hi. Thanks for that. So I'm Joseph. I'm the COO of Engine Starter. Basically, what we do is we are a crowdfunding platform for Web3 projects, and we also incubator, accelerator, and we do invest, and we do collaborations as well with various projects. Our big focus now during this market is to really prepare for the next phase of growth for Web3, which is the way we look at it, is Web 2.5. Okay, so we're working on a lot of projects, a lot of partners, celebrities, and so on projects which have, which can onboard the non-crypto community in seamlessly and simply and easily as possible. It will have the typical Web 2 layer, Web 2 monetization, but the Web 3 layer, we want it to be as seamless, simple, and even as invisible as possible. So we're working on various things. I mean, my background was with Xbox, and I worked on big games like Halo and Mass Effect. And most of the stuff I worked on was on music, movies, TV shows, merchandising, franchising. So I'm bringing that in to Engine Starter. So right now we are working on a few TV shows as well, which are really Web3 related, and using that to try to bring in the mainstream audiences using entertainment, pop culture, and all that. An example of simple projects, right? Simple projects that can easily get people in to bring in mainstream. So that's really our focus right now. We incubate, we invest, we collaborate in these things, and we're preparing for the next push.
Very interesting. Okay, thanks a lot, Joseph. And thank you all the panelists for the detailed introduction. And so let's get into the crux of this webinar. So before that, a quick context for the audience. So as we know, NFTs are the new buzzword, right? And it is now growing in popularity. The likes of Snoop Dogg and Jack Dorsey talking about it or using it for many purposes. So many brands have also adopted NFTs to build and serve their communities. But given that, but many people, many NFT enthusiasts still don't know much about this concept and its real world utilities. So this webinar is trying to find out all those details. So okay, so my first question is, so what are NFTs in the simplest terms, and why they are important? So I'll start with Denise first.
Thank you for your question. So I guess when I introduced myself, I kind of like touched base on that a bit.
Yeah.
That so if you look at NFTs now, so there are different kinds, right? Artworks NFTs and digital NFTs, and each of the kinds would have like different way of how we evaluate the value of those. Yeah. But I have a very strong belief that when we move forward, basically the NFT would be a vehicle or a digital format for us to encrypt the right and the rules of ownership towards a specific asset, which has the value in our real world. Yeah. And I believe that by defining NFT that way, actually, there will be not only entertaining use case for NFT, like the GameFi NFTs or online gaming NFTs anymore, but the use case can be expanded broader with more applications in the business and make the transactions from business to business, and also even the open the market across countries as well. Basically, I believe that with NFTs, the future transactions of our economy would be more efficient and also more transparent. So that's how I look at NFTs and how it should develop in the future.
Great. Joseph, can you go next?
Yeah, so NFT, how to explain it in a simple way. Okay, so NFT is a cryptographic token, right? But it's on the blockchain, it exists on the blockchain, but it's totally unique and cannot be replicated. So what I mean is this. So you can have a Bitcoin, everybody has Bitcoin, but if it was an NFT, you will have that Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? It's distinct and unique from each other. So I have this particular NFT which cannot be replicated. And that's the difference between a token. So that's what a non-fungible token is. I think that's, to me, that's the simplest way to explain it, right?
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, that's very interesting because people are still confused NFTs with cryptocurrency. So that's I think your statement is really clarified that. So Lucas, your version,
Yeah, I mean, this time you let me go last. Yeah, the simplest and easiest way to actually explain NFT, right? Think of a digital asset.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That you purchase. But what makes NFT special is you are able to verify authenticity and ownership. Okay.
Yes.
So I'll give a very simple example. For example, let's say you play games, right?
Yeah.
And you buy an avatar and a digital asset in the game, right? When you buy, right, it may appear it looks like it's yours, but it's actually not yours. Okay. All right. So for example, my dad, right, he used to play this horse racing game. He bought a horse, he spent money, make his horse look very nice, have all the weapons and everything, and become a very strong horse. So he spent almost $5,000 on a horse. And one day the game just disappeared and closed down. So guess what happens to his assets? It's gone, right? It's gone with the game. So he don't really own it. It's not his. So what makes NFT so special is that if you buy a digital asset that is an NFT, right? It verifies that you are the true authentic owner of that asset. Okay. Now, if the game disappears, okay, the asset is still yours. Right. And what we envision of what NFTs can become in the future, it's interoperable with other platforms. So take, for example, it cannot be worked on this game, it can be actually utilized on other games. Now, we are in the very early phase of NFTs. NFT only recently gained that hype last year. And people are still exploring what the utility and use case of NFTs can achieve. And I feel that games is just one of them. There are many, many more things, what NFT can achieve in the future.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So this NFTs are mostly associated with Metaverse. I don't know if you look at the market, right? When you talk about Metaverse or when you talk about NFT, people always mention Metaverse. So are these interconnected, and how are they interconnected? And is it really only about Metaverse, or does NFT have anything to do with other domains, etc.? I'll start with you, Lucas, first.
Now you go back to me. I would say it's two different things. You see, NFTs is NFTs. Metaverse is Metaverse, right? Metaverse, again, it's a very, very broad term. That many people have different definition of what a metaverse is, right? We can always argue that metaverse has been around since your Second Life days. Where there's a virtual world, people can go in as a character and go and play and interact with everybody. But my personal definition of what a metaverse is, it must have that immersive experience, as if you are, as a person, you are part of that world, inside that world, immersed, and to be able to interact, and the things that you do in that world, it stays in that world. So it's like you are as if in a world. So think of like a Ready Player One, right? So that's my definition of metaverse. And NFTs, on the other hand, it's a separate topic already. But why these two are together, right? If these two are gelled together, it can be very, very powerful. Because imagine you are creating, if there's a huge successful metaverse, okay, and with NFTs, users can go into that world, officially owning the assets in that world. Okay, so then when you are the also official owner of the asset in the metaverse, the possibilities inside the world is limitless, right? So when there is that kind of official ownership, okay, users will be more incentivized to really innovate in a world that is has unlimited possibilities. So that's where they are trying to gel both together. NFTs and Metaverse. Therefore, forming what they call a Web 3.0 Metaverse. Okay. So that's that's why they always mix these two together. Yeah.
Okay. Denise.
It is from my perspective. I see that metaverse is a cool thing, yes, and is right. Lucas already says that they actually is a kind of limited word.
Yes.
However, I think because it's also there's a limitation on how, because when I look at all of the NFTs or metaverse, the way we look at it would be more on the size of like how much of the real application that we can put into our world and our business world as well. And from that lens, basically what I see for the metaverse is that, yes, it can be a huge potential in terms of like media, advertising, branding, and also creativity. So you can treat it become like a creative lab. Yes. And there are a lot of spaces, not only for individuals to enjoy through gaming or develop stuff, engaging with social media platforms, but I think also that would be opening a new like media platforms for different brands as well. There's a lot of things that we can test and learn, and also makes the whole world more exciting. So so in that way, if you ask me like why people should pay attention to it, because it's gonna, I think it's gonna be the next innovation for media and advertising in the future, and also creativity can be a part of it as well in general.
Yeah, cool. Oh, yeah, that's for detailed answer. Joseph, what's your view on this?
I think both of them really just covered most of it. I mean, again, in a very simple way, metaverses don't need NFTs, right? You don't need NFTs, right? It's just basically a virtual world and you can do more so-called richer interactions, and that's what it is. But somehow it became convoluted with Web3 because, like what Lucas said, the NFT part gives you actually ownership of assets inside the metaverse, but also including skins that you wear inside of it can be an NFT. So this is how it became kind of blended in together, you know. And yeah, I think that's what I would say about that. Oops, am I frozen or is everyone else frozen?
No, Joey is frozen, I guess.
Sino
is frozen.
Okay. I thought it was me. Right. I think he was shocked by my answer. So short. I expected you to talk for like 10 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. Apologies. I think Sino is currently experiencing some technical difficulties. Yeah. So while Sino is waiting to reconnect, and yeah, let me just quickly go to this. Yeah. So I think really nice inputs from Denise, Lucas, and Joseph. On how NFTs is essentially being a part of Metaverse, but essentially, like what Joseph mentioned, like you don't really need NFTs to be as part of the development in Metaverse, but I want to take a hard right turn on this one because NFTs has been like really a talk of the town in the past few years, especially during the pandemic, right? But what are some of the challenges? And on top of the challenges, what are some of the opportunities that comes along with it? Because I do know that NFTs is it's somehow it's really hard to wrap our brains around it because it's super different from what we have been used to. So maybe this time we can start with Denise. So Denise, what do you think are some of the challenges and opportunities that comes along with it?
Yeah. Okay. So, basically, when I look at not only NFTs but also like the whole blockchain wave in general, it's very interesting that it reminds me a lot for the early days of digital marketing in the new market, because I'm based in Vietnam, and digital marketing started in Vietnam like 15 years ago. And the whole thing is so new to everyone. Like Facebook is new, a lot of things is new, Google is new as well. So that's, I think that so that links back to your questions in a way that So when talking about challenges, just look at like the early adopters of NFTs and also on kind of blockchain technology, and engage with one of those platforms. Basically, it's quite limited, right? And in a way, we call them like most of them, they started from crypto users, whether those are gamers or traders, investors. So that's why the ability to engage and the pathway for them to engage with this new types of technology, starting from a very small corner of the world, and to make this to make NFT become more adaptable in our world. I think that the biggest challenge is that, like before we said, is digital behavior, the maturity of the market. At the same time, about like how much people really the platform, whether there are enough platforms in ecosystem adopt NFTs and blockchain technology to make it become friendlier to our new users as well. And secondly, I think there's another thing that we have to accept the fact that for the last few years, besides the hype from NFTs, tokens, cryptocurrencies also, and a lot of other projects, they may ride on the hype, to make money as well, and a lot of the phones of those projects as well, and a lot of people basically lost their money, right? And that's the issue of trust, and that's gonna be a big barrier for a lot of newcomers, because for maintain model, our go-to-market strategy kind of like a hybrid one. We work when we speak to both crypto users and non-crypto users, and what we realize from and we do call them like Web2 investors, they have a very skeptical views towards this new world because it's very chaotic. They do not have enough knowledge. And also it's quite hard a little bit for them because it's a new set of behavior, like how I use my crypto wallet, or how can I verify, and a bunch of things. So I think trust is one thing. Another thing is that we haven't got the big enough ecosystem and platforms to make the whole technology and the whole types new access become a more daily stuff for our people. So I believe that those are the challenges. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry for some technical glitch. So okay, I'll next Dukas.
Yeah. I mean the problem with NFTs now. I mean there are a couple of problems, but I feel that the main problem, right? It's the onboarding for mainstream users, right? It's too complicated for people to understand what is an NFT, how to buy it, what can I use it for. So the onboarding process itself, it's so difficult really, because I need to buy cryptocurrency, then I can buy NFT, and then when I get an NFT, what can I use it for? There's also that lack of utility. So this is the problem that I believe in time it will be easily resolved, right? Okay, but I personally like to talk more about the potential benefits. What's the future of NFTs? So if we look back in the past, right? Okay, when Web 1.0 first came out, everything, all the profits go to the centralized entity, to one company, right? Okay, that is how Web 1.0 actually first started out. Then we transit to Web 2.0. In the Web 2.0 era, which is the current phase right now, which is where you have your YouTube, your Facebook, your other platforms like this, it forms a creator's economy, right? So take for example YouTube. No longer all the money go to the centralized entity, and no longer everything is all decided and created by a centralized entity, right? There is a creator's economy already, where users can participate, create content, okay, promote it and grow their audience. And then when they grow their audience, they take a cut of the percentage, right? So this scaled a lot of business because of this Web 2.0 revolution. But there are also problems Web 2.0 are facing. So take for example, centralized entity, like for example YouTube, they can make changes just like that, and your audience are gone. They want to ban you, you are gone, right? So you don't really own it. and all the hard work you do, you build your 10 million, 100 million new subscribers. It's gone just like that, right? So, and if they want to adjust your commission, now last time 50-50, now because you will be big already, right? Now you don't take only 10%, we take 90%. You can't do anything about it, right? So creators are powerless, okay? So now why NFT is so powerful, right? It's because it brings the power back to the users. Okay, where they are the sole official owner of the asset. Okay, all the rewards go to the owners. Okay, instead of to a centralized entity. So the entity, the platform, right, becomes kind of like a moderator. Okay, but not the one deciding, making the main decision. It becomes decentralized. So with this being said, right? Okay, if NFTs become very successful, you will see people really creating things that are even bigger than what we have here today. The power goes back to the user. So this will drive human innovation in a way that we have never seen before. Yeah, so that is what I personally think of why NFTs has an amazing future forward.
Okay, great. Joseph, what do you think of the challenges?
Well, I mean, I agree 100% with Lucas. Ease of use is a big thing, and that's what we are very obsessed with right now, making it as simple as possible for non-crypto users, non-native crypto users to come in. You know, another problem is the narrative. Let's say, for example, if you look at gaming, you know, traditional gamers, the minute you say NFT, they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to look at you, right? They're not interested in it. But if you change the narrative, and we've run some experiments like this in a few countries, and we didn't even use the word NFT. We just say, hey, you get to own the in-game assets. Oh, wow, that's interesting. But the minute we tell them it's NFT, what? You know, I don't talk to you. So one thing is a narrative problem, which I think can be solved over time once people understand what it is. But of course, there are a lot of people who still deep-rooted in it. They don't trust it because it's crypto and all that. But that's something, again, narrative can be changed over time. The other thing is, like, I mean, how it started, it was really hype in the beginning. And then now you can't just go on hype, you need utility. Okay, and you see what kind of utility that's emerging. Most of these NFT projects, the utility they give you is just a membership, you know, you have access to this, access to that. It's just a glorified membership card, you know. But what I'm starting to see now is really much more interesting utility, you know, coming up. If you look at in gaming projects as well, you know, the in-game assets are NFTs. And in fashion, what I'm seeing is they're using it in fashion drops right now. Some projects I'm seeing they're using NFTs in fashion drops to kind of like to prevent scalpers from coming in and gaming the fashion drops, and making sure only the real fans and the real fans of the brands come in. And NFT is a very powerful tool for that, right? Also for IP protection, I'm seeing in the fashion space, in the creator space, a lot of early stage designers, their designs, what it gets stolen, you know, and this happens, although nobody wants to talk about it, it gets stolen by bigger brands and all that, especially in the trade shows. But what some people are trying to do now is say, you do your designs, we'll digitize it and put it on the blockchain as an NFT. So this is the way you can kind of protect yourself. You can't do it legally, but the communities can say, hey, look, that's his design, you know? So more and more interesting use cases are coming up right now. I think that's the biggest problem, right? We're still in the discovery of what are the use cases, and there's so many possibilities coming up.
That's right. Yeah. As you rightly mentioned, NFT theft is one of the greatest challenges of it. Okay. Now, coming to this question. So, as we know, many brands, you know, big and smaller ones, have started using or adopting NFTs, right? So, do you think smaller brands, smaller brands or smaller companies should also started adopting or embracing NFTs, you know, to build a community and to serve their community, etc.? I'll start with Lucas.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah. So do you think smaller brands, so many larger brands have started using NFTs, right? So should smaller brands also think of, you know, adopting NFTs?
Okay. I mean, if they are existing I mean, there must be a purpose of why they use NFTs in the first place, right? Be it smaller brands or bigger brands. As long as it enhances their business model, enhances their customer, how they add value to their customers,
Right.
and as their growth, right? I don't think whether they are small or big brand should really matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Joseph.
Yeah, I totally agree with Lucas again. I mean, the NFT in itself is not a strategy, right? It's just a tool. It's a thing that we can use, and it has certain value that you can bring to the table. Like, we did this NFT project with a very famous celebrity. I won't say where, I won't say in which country because it's very embarrassing.
Sure.
And the way he wanted to go about it is, just do NFT. But he didn't think about the strategy. He didn't think about the value proposition. And he's really one of the top celebrities out there, I mean, he's one of the highest paid and hardly sold anything. You see, so it doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, whether you're small and big, if you got a clear strategy, clear goal, if you understand what NFTs can bring to the table, what you want to bring from it as either community or access or some kind of use case, then it can probably work,
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Denise.
Yeah, so I think they basically Lucas and Joseph already addressed few points, and I agree with them that the matter is not whether the brand is big or small, it's more on the size, like what is your strategy, how what is your plan to explore and also make the best of the value from the NFTs. If we look at some of the brands right now, how they, even big brands, how they strategize the NFTs is a lot of them actually they act on short term. So they use NFT, it's just like the new toys in their branding and marketing campaign, but they do not think of NFTs as the new lines of product. And what is the life cycle of that product as a brand. So I think that's the angle is lacking right now from brand's perspective. And I think that that's also the same way if some brands, and that's going to be the opportunity for brands. It doesn't matter whether they are big or small, but if they can have the right approach and they look at NFTs as the new line of product, that can be their opportunity to really disrupt the market and make something different. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Wow. Great. Okay. So we also talk about real level utilities, right? Okay. So coming back to the individuals. So should an individual try to save or try to buy NFTs or cryptocurrencies? This is for a lay person to understand. So should I buy NFTs or should I invest my money in cryptocurrencies? Just for the understanding of the audience. I'll start with Joseph first.
Oh my God. I don't think there's a point blank answer for this one, but if you want me to give you general answers, because we are a launchpad and we do NFT sales and we do token sales as well. We're finding that NFT sales are actually more robust now. NFT is actually performing a lot better than tokens right now. I think a lot of companies are struggling to figure out, strong enough, robust utility for the tokens. And sometimes it's going to be too long way off and they oversell the tokens, but NFTs is a different story. We're seeing it work a lot better. So if you look at the NFT investments on our platform, it's really gone up, whereas the token investment has gone down recently, Okay, so for me, but again, not every NFT project is good. You have to do your own research, right?
Okay. Lucas?
Okay, from an individual standpoint, I would recommend yes, straight yes. But the thing is not like push all your money and your fortune and go and borrow money to go and buy it, right? There must be a purpose and objective of why you buy. It shouldn't be about profit. Because if you're buying into something that you have no clear idea and just trying to do it, it's just purely gambling. So I will recommend the way to do it, right? It's to keep a clear objective that you buy for the purpose of learning. I'll give you an example. All right, in 2016, I discovered Bitcoin. Everybody was talking about Bitcoin. Most people say it's a scam, right? So I wanted to learn about it. I read it. I don't understand it. It's too complicated. So what I did, I picked money and go and buy it. I didn't buy Bitcoin. I bought Ethereum at $10. right? And when you put money in, right, well, suddenly you have that fear already, like, oh, okay, wow, you know, you start to go and read up, you start to learn, your whole behavior start changing. So because of this, I started reading more, I started researching, and then when I saw Ethereum from $10 rose to what, $400 within the next year, right? Of course, my capital, my portfolio increased was very high, right? But what excited me wasn't really the profits, but it was really much that I became obsessed with this space. I started reading about Ethereum. I started go and look for other opportunities. Started looking at other altcoins, you know, all the Dogecoin. You know, I bought Dogecoin in 2017 or so, right? You know, and all the kind of different kind of altcoins. And I start to learn how each different companies run their marketing strategy, how they create their community, how they scam, you know, how they do things right, what are the right companies, what are the wrong companies. So I start to learn a lot in this space, okay, because I put money in, right? Because I wanted to learn. So I would say that if you set your objective right, properly, right, it's really for the learning purpose. Whether you make or don't make money, you will be ahead of many people who are still on the skeptical side, you know, the sideline, criticizing, pointing, say, you know, it's a scam, NFT is a scam, all right, that kind of attitude lah. So today I'm very confident about this subject knowledge because I've been in this space since 2016, 6 years already. Have been following the trend, with the clear objective in mind that I'm here to keep on learning in this space.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So okay, so just this an additional question. So how are you? How is Afin working with brands? You know, and how we are helping to bring value to NFTs?
This question for me, is it?
Yes, that's for you. Yeah.
What's the question again? Sorry. How we working with?
Yeah, with the brands and how you are helping you know, bring value to NFTs.
So we are currently in the development phase. Our product is developing. We have launched our alpha, launching our beta next year. So we haven't been working with brands. We have been in connection, talking with brands, talking to them, how we can collaborate and work together. But because Afin is building two separate ecosystems, right? One is a virtual world, one is a lifestyle ecosystem. So in terms of lifestyle ecosystem, we already have all the connections that we need to be able to onboard and work together with them when it comes at the right time. So to work together with them, right, what we actually propose is us creating kind of like a to drive traffic to over there, to their users, okay, and to be able to enjoy benefits, lifestyle benefits when they actually utilize our internal currency at their merchant. Okay, so that's how we can actually benefit our brands, okay, and how they can benefit us is to create utility for our users. So this is for that. Within our virtual world, we also intend to work with more brands to create interoperability for the NFTs that our users also start owning. So that is where we see how we go forward.
Okay, great. So we have a lot of questions coming in, and before that, we'll allow Denise to answer these questions. Why cryptocurrencies or NFTs? Denise, what's your answer? What's your version on this?
So your question is whether to choose from NFTs or cryptocurrency.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's quite funny, but I think it totally depends on what do you want from those, right?
Okay.
If your objective is to learn or to really creating impacts in some certain ways, you can see that NFTs would be more handy because a lot of things would be ready for use, and the way people and builders like us, we are approaching, and also the policy makers in different countries as well, and even in the global market, how they are making the policy is actually utilizing NFT would be easier than touching on the topic of cryptocurrencies, because when you face with cryptocurrency, immediately you're facing with a whole bunch of complications. So as a builders, so that's in case if you want to develop something and really make value to the world. But if you're just a simple traders, it's totally different, right? Those are just accessing your investment portfolio. And even like I know that some of the traders and investors, they have different strategies in their portfolio, and even they don't care whether it's a decent altcoin or a decent cryptocurrency. Sometimes they just throw money in and have a quick gaining on whatever the coins that they can read the signals and see the potential of profits. So I think it's totally depends. But my take and also my preference is that NFTs should be the long-term investments, because the way I observe that how we are moving forward in the future, NFT would have bigger potential and also a more sustainable values to our world in general, both for the virtual and also the real world as well.
Great. Okay. Thanks. Awesome. Okay. I think we have a lot of questions coming in on the chat widget. So I'll maybe we can take this Q&A, right? So, okay. The first question is, are NFTs the only way we can fully jump from Web 2 to Web 3? How is it shaping the future of the internet? I'll start with Lucas.
So is NFT the only way to move from Web 2 to Web 3.0? Is it? That's the question.
That's right.
I would think yes. I would think NFT is the way to go to move from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. Because without that, right, then I don't see how we can verify authenticity and ownership. So the short answer is yes. NFT, in my opinion, as of now, from what I think, is the only way.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So Dennis, do you want to add anything? Dennis or Joseph?
Well, I totally agree with Lucas. So maybe Joseph would share something.
Sure. Joseph.
What exactly was the question again?
Okay, so are NFTs the only way we can fully jump from a Web 2.0 to Web 3.0?
Wow. Wow. I don't think it's the only way, right? But when we've run so many experiments where we've allowed people to go and get a taste of Web3 without even realizing it. But I would say most of the time it was always through NFTs. That was the easiest way, actually.
Okay.
There are other ways where we do on-ramp and off-ramp stuff. But yeah, I guess it's a bit more challenging that way. But yeah, so I would guess with NFTs it's actually much easier.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the second question is there any community that already using NFTs to help with their vision and mission statements? And what is the best practice to use NFTs to community advantages? Dennis?
No, I would let other two speakers to answer.
Okay. So is there, okay. I didn't get to, can you repeat it? Do you want to answer this question? So is the question, I can repeat the question. So is there any community that's already using NFTs to help with their mission and vision statements?
Yeah. So you're asking who? Or anybody?
Yeah, Lucas. Yeah, Lucas. Maybe you.
I mean, if you ask me, many companies are using NFTs to address their mission and statement, right? So even for us, our mission is to give ownership back to the players. So that's our mission. So we are using, but have we achieved to that there yet? I don't think any company have reached as near achieving mainstream adoption yet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Denise, do you want to add anything to this answer?
Yes. So I think that talking about other communities, I'm not sure, but that's also the way that we are heading to as well as Metin, because for our vision, what we are trying to do is that to bring the real estate investment from high return markets become available to more and more people from other markets, and so at a very affordable check size for them. Okay. And we see that NFTs it's really a good leverage for us to do so. And with the proper combinations of the real estate investment trust model and following the regulations, and even we have to fight for SEC in the US to make sure that our NFT can be considered as a security token and can be represented as fund certificates. And that's really helps us to and so that's why earlier so I explained to you guys that we make by using the NFT, but we do not go out there and talk to non-native crypto users that this is an NFT, but we communicate to them as this is a digital version of your ownership towards the investment. And that's how we believe that it can help us not only to push the real estate investment opportunity to the crypto investors, but I think broader and larger is the traditional medium income investors everywhere all over the world, and it's helped us to realize our visions to, in a way, it's a bit like too much, but too much ambitions, but like what we are trying to do is to democratize the real estate investment. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Joseph, do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, so I'm working with 2 projects right now, which has NFTs squarely focused in their vision and mission statements. So one is a tattoo project, which is 100 of the best tattoo artists in the world, including Joe Rogan's tattoo artists. And they have a community size of 10 million. So what they're doing is they're trying to use NFTs to scale the tattoo business from a localized, unscalable business to international scalable business using tattoos. And they're going to build tattoo studios in metaverses, tattoo armories and games. And you can go in there and you can buy custom tattoo skins, or you can go into a game and you go into a tattoo armory and bring your weapon, and they'll do a special design on your weapon, and you'll convert your NFT into a one-of-a-kind NFT. So they're really focused on their whole strategy is using NFTs to scale up and and globalize the tattoo business for tattoo artists. And that's a really, really interesting project. The NFT mint is coming up soon. The project is called Swallow. Look out for it. Another one where they use NFT strategy to come up with a Web3 version of Patreon. So and they see themselves as a Patreon killer. It's still going to be Web 2 and Web 3, of course. It's going to be a combined, a mix of Web 2.5. But for them, you see how Web 3 NFTs plays a very powerful role in the business model. So we ran 2 experiments together with them, right, where we have these influencers just using a typical Web 2 model, and then another one using the Web 3 model with NFTs. And the difference in the amount that the influencers were making were quite significant. So with that Web3 layer and NFT layer, these guys were making much more than what they were making in just a normal Web2 Patreon. So these are 2 very interesting projects I'm working on right now, which has NFT squarely in their vision and mission.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Joseph. We have actually many more questions, but we are running short of time. So maybe we can take one last question, right? So this question is about the future. So where do you see NFTs going? I'll start with Denise. Where do you think NFTs is going?
I think the NFTs would continue to have huge potential, but in a way, there will be more regulations. People are going to try to make it more regulated, because then later on there will be NFTs just like a normal digital assets in terms of in entertainment industries, for example, and in metaverse as well. But there will be when the use case of the NFT beyond entertaining, there will be more needs of to make the NFT become something more as a security. And so that's also something I think as builders and also as investors or users, you need to have to be mindful about it, to know that what exactly you are engaging with and what exactly you are investing into.
Great. Okay, so you mentioned regulation, right? Is it really possible, Lucas? Is regulation, NFT regulation really possible? And where do you think NFTs is headed?
Yeah, I mean, surely regulation is definitely possible. Governments are already trying to catch up to understand the usage of blockchain. They're trying to regulate NFTs. Recently in Singapore, right, the High Court actually ruled that NFTs are property-like. So this is, to me, it's a big deal because it's recognized by the government, the Singapore government, that NFTs, it's a real asset, property-like. So this no longer it's a gimmick or a scam anymore already. Okay, if a government actually regulate it like that. So now, if you ask me where NFTs is going, right? First, now currently NFTs are being used mostly. Actually, it first at all it started out mostly used for access, exclusive access. And we look from our BAYC, right? Okay, you look at in the Q&A, some people are asking about BAYC, Board Ape Club. So BAYC is one of the most famous one that does it, exclusive access. So that's what it has been, right? But moving forward, right, where I see NFTs going is that, of course, I think just now Joseph did mention about the negative narrative about NFTs. But in my personal opinion is, in the future, people will be buying assets, okay, and not even realizing it's NFTs or cryptocurrency or blockchain or anything like that. To them, it's just a picture, okay, an asset they buy, right? And they use it, and they can use all the ability of what NFTs can do. For example, interoperability. Oh wow, this asset can be port over, but they don't even realize NFT. That is how we achieve mainstream adoption. So where I see NFT will first touch into adoption, right, is through gaming. Why gaming? Because gaming, it's a booming industry. It is growing so fast and so quickly that, I mean, even my uncles and aunties are all playing games now today on a mobile phone, right? So this is so simple, so easy for people to use it to play and have fun and entertain, all right? And when they buy it and use it and transfer it, they don't even realize it's NFTs. That is where we know if we achieve that adoption that we all are working towards to. So this is where I see the next phase of NFTs is actually gaming.
Great. Okay, yeah, I think that sums up. Okay, Joseph, your comments.
Yeah, I mean, same as what Lucas is saying, right? We really want to see adoption. We don't care how the iPhone works, it just works. I don't care how Apple Pay works, it just works. I don't care how internet works. I don't care about TCP/IP, it just works, right? And the same thing, right? I mean, we've already run some experiments in Indonesia and Thailand where 90% of the transactions were from non-Web3 people, right? And they were buying into these assets. They didn't even know it was NFT. They just paid by their credit card and they were buying it and they didn't care it was NFT. They just, we just shared with them what's the value proposition of it. I even have one game we work with, and they did $1 million of sales in NFTs, and they sold it through credit card. That's it, right? So we have to make it as simple and mainstream as possible. We have to not get hung up with all these engineering terms, and we have to focus on what the value proposition is, Once you do that, the mainstream audiences will come.
Great. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. I think we are towards the end of this webinar. So before we wrap up, we can have some closing thoughts from each one of you. Lucas, do you, final comments?
Yeah, final comments is, I would say that the best way to really learn, right, is to truly get involved. Again, I said it just now, right? Set your objective clear. The first priority is to really learn, progress, be in the know, be in the trend, so that you don't get left behind. Especially if you want to be in this space, and for outside in Affin, right? Because I'm a true believer that learning, the best way to learn is by doing. When people are having fun and entertaining, right? So the next part of what Affin here we intend to do, right? Actually, it's maybe next month. We want to do a interesting quiz kind of format game, competitive format game, where people can participate, free to join. It's free to play, all right? And then they can participate in the quiz to compete, and the winner of the quiz get 8,000 USDC.
Oh, that's
yes. So the reason why we want to do this is we also want to educate more people about the future of NFTs, Metaverse, blockchain, and that's where we want to make an impact, to this world. So, and I feel that right, just by telling people, read this, okay, watch this, not as fun. But when there's incentive and when there's a gamified experience, right, I think it will be even more interactive, even more engaging, and more fun for everybody. And people can actually learn this way. So it's up at the top. Currently in our mind, in our company, we are already planning to do this. Maybe if you guys in the audience listening this, you can join our quiz and you may be the one who win the 8,000 USDC. Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, audience, please note. Denise.
Yeah, so my final comments is that so I believe that we are at a very starting stage of both blockchain and NFTs, and it's pretty much similar to the starting of any new market or new industry. But then when it's getting more and more matured, it's going to come back to the very fundamental of the business. Everyone needs to answer the questions. People don't care what kind of technology that you are using, whether it's blockchains, is crypto, is DAO, is NFT, whatsoever. But the end of the day, you have to answer the questions that what is the value that you are bringing to the world. And I think that's something I would like to say.
Yeah, great. Okay, Joseph, your last comments.
They said it all. I mean, they said the same thing. Value proposition, stay focused on what are you actually giving people, right? And don't get too hung up on NFTs and all these kind of things. I mean, NFT with no value, no story, no strategy is meaningless, right? So it's always back to basics again, right? What resonates with people, what resonates with your fans, what resonates with your community, and that's where, I'm really positive about the future because we're seeing more use cases, more interesting projects coming out. And this market has been good because you're getting rid of, and honestly, we're getting a lot of crap.
You said it right. I think there's a lot of potential for NFTs, and we hope to see more use cases for NFTs going forward. Thanks a lot for for the webinar, for joining us, and it was a fruitful discussion. I hope our audience really enjoyed it. And on this note, I would like to hand over the floor back to Joel. Joel, please take over.
All right, once again, thank you so much, Sainal. Thank you so much for leading this wonderful conversation. And also thank you so much to our panelists, to Lucas, Denise, and Joseph for the very insightful discussion. And I do hope that, everyone in the audience really took notes, because I took some on my end. I'm not sure if you can see because of the virtual background, but I did see, it's really interesting, if we combine everything, all of the points from the panelists, right? It's really important, when you start to be involved in the NFT spaces, to have that learner mindset. But connecting it to what Joseph mentioned is that at the end of the day, you don't need to understand all of the technical terms, and you don't need to understand all of the technicalities on why NFTs are NFTs and how it works. And then connecting it to Denise's point as well is that, at the end of the day, you also need to understand why you're doing this and what's the value that you're trying to give to you and to your audience and to your community as well. And so once again, guys, I hope you really took some notes, because I took some. And yes, of course, this event wouldn't have been possible without our friends from Affin. And it doesn't end here. Actually, Affin has already opened its marketplace. So if you want to know more about Affin, you can scan the QR code on your screen, or you can click on the link in the chat box below. But don't worry, we have more of these events happening in the future, so stay tuned. So you can find out more about the upcoming ones, as well as the other events and programs around the region that you may be keen on joining at a27.co/events, or you can scan on the QR code on your screen as well. So that's pretty much it for today. Sainul, thank you so much. And to our panelists, Denise, Joseph, and Lucas, thank you so much for the really insightful discussion. I did see from the chat that, this was a really informative session from them as well. Apologies, we weren't able to cater to all of the questions. We had so much questions. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to send them over, and let's see whether, if we can address them after this webinar. So, once again, everyone, thank you so much for joining, and have a great day ahead.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.